Do you have a meat-loving spouse or family and wonder what will happen if you make a change first to eating plant-based? I'm sure you would love to see your husband, wife, or children make positive changes to their eating too. But right now, they seem pretty set in their ways. You want to enjoy better health, but deep down, you know you're letting a fear of double cooking and negative backlash hold you back. But what if things turned out differently? What if a family diet change is possible for your loved ones and might be quicker than you expect? And what if you won't need to do much double cooking at all? Let's look at this together. In this episode, I want to give you 3 pro tips to help you take positive steps forward so the needle can truly shift in your family towards plant-powered eating. How do I know this? Because I have seen such positive changes happen in the family when my clients use these pro tips. So grab a notebook and join me now. Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend, do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. First, I want to take a moment to thank 2 listeners for their 5-star reviews of the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. The first listener, with Apple ID Ariana Vernier, wrote, "So helpful. Anna gives so many helpful tips if you're trying to eat a more plant-based diet. I can't recommend this podcast enough." The second listener I want to spotlight has Apple ID CRepnik. She wrote, "This is a great podcast for anyone making the transition to plant-based eating. She helps remove the overwhelm and guides you through what to expect and how to make this way of eating a part of your daily life." Thank you both so much for taking a moment to leave these reviews. They really mean a lot to me. I'm so happy to hear that this podcast is helping you eat more plant-based and is making this diet transition simpler and more enjoyable for you. Please continue listening. Friend, if you would like to support this podcast too, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It'll only take 30 seconds, but would mean the world to me and will help this podcast reach more people who need help and support in transforming the way they eat and their health. Tell me how this podcast is helping you in your plant-based diet transition and journey. I would love to spotlight your review here too. Now let's talk about family diet transitions and ways to make it more successful for you and your family. Have you ever wondered what it will take for your whole family to move into a plant-powered way of life? Right now, they may not be eating the best and are relying a lot on meat-heavy dishes and processed convenience foods. Yet, you've tried multiple times to get them to eat better, but without success. If that's your situation, I know how frustrating and defeating this can all feel. Well, friend, don't feel discouraged. Because yes, I am pretty confident that there can be positive changes in your family's way of eating. They don't need to stay where they are, and you don't need to stay where you are. Not if you take on board these 3 pro tips I'm going to share with you now to help your family make a smooth plant-powered diet and lifestyle change. Let's look at each of them in turn now. The first pro tip is this: adopt and keep a positive frame of mind instead of a negative one when it comes to thinking about your family's future potential plant-based diet change. I know you might have tried to make changes within your family in the past, and all without much success. So it's easy and natural to feel pessimistic about your family moving into a plant-powered lifestyle and just think this is something impossible to reach. But this defeatist attitude won't help you or this situation. In fact, just having this perspective can be like shooting yourself in the foot before you have even started running. It can really impair any future success you may have with your family in this area. So it's crucial instead to think this, that change in my family is and will be possible. Here's a second pro tip when it comes to family diet changes. Start being intentional today. I'm going to tell you something that might be pretty revolutionary to hear. And it's this. You actually don't need to get everyone's 100% buy-in right from the get-go when you begin to make food changes within the family. Unless, of course, you're asking them to make a 100% complete switch to a plant-based diet overnight. But if your initial expectation is just to introduce more plant-based foods and ingredients into the family's weekly meal routine, then you can start on this right away. Just begin by taking tiny positive and intentional steps forward. That's the way I teach and strategize with my clients. And you may be pleasantly surprised at the results. Here's a good example of this. I remember once a client of mine went over to her son's house to help care for her young grandchildren for a few days. She was a bit worried about how she would stay plant-powered during this time, but had prepared well with some plant-based meals and snacks to bring over. At our next coaching session, she told me that one of the things she did was to bring over a container of cut-up carrot sticks. Then when she arrived at her son's house, she immediately put this on the counter. This way, she was able to snack on them whenever she wanted. And guess what? Her grandkids did too. So everyone ended up eating much healthier that day. Now here's the third pro tip. Take proactive steps to be ready and willing for a plant-powered family diet change. We may not realize it, but sometimes we end up setting ourselves and our loved ones back when we hesitate or don't feel confident in making bigger lifestyle changes, especially if it is in a direction that would be beneficial for everyone's health within the family. And then, if you don't seize that opportunity, it can be lost, and there may not be another opportunity coming up anytime soon. Here's the perfect example of this happening. When I first created the sweet potato black bean mash recipe, I shared it with my sister and encouraged her to try making it. Well, one day she did and prepared it for her and her husband to have for dinner. The result? I was ecstatic when she told me that her husband, a meat-loving guy, liked it and even told her that he was willing to have one plant-based meal a day. But my sister was hesitant about this and said she didn't know if this would be possible and that perhaps one plant-based dish a week would be more realistic and doable. That may be the case, but think about the great potential for change if she had gone forward to really implement this daily change for her and her husband. Unfortunately, in the weeks and months after that, my sister did not take many more steps forward in trying to integrate plant-based meals into the weekly routine for her and her husband. And now, many years later, her husband is more into a meat-heavy diet. I hope you see from this real-life story just how important it is to strike while the iron's hot and not miss golden opportunities for change like this, when there can be an openness and readiness for change within your loved ones. So take intentional steps to be ready for bigger diet changes if and when your family is ready to do so. Change may really come more quickly and unexpectedly than you planned, but that's a good problem to have. One way to take intentional action is to keep listening to this podcast for tips or to take the Plant Power Life Transformation course to help you master the basics of plant-based eating and get comfortable using different plant-based ingredients. This self-paced online course will also provide many easy-to-make, tasty plant-based dishes that you can make to sample and perhaps have your family sample too, including the sweet potato black bean mash recipe that I had passed to my sister previously. So today we looked at 3 pro tips to help your family move into and enjoy a more plant-powered diet lifestyle. The first pro tip is to adopt a positive frame of mind. The second is to start being intentional. And the third pro tip is to take proactive steps yourself so you can personally be ready and willing to make a bigger family diet change. Now here's an action step you can take. Think of a small positive step forward you can help your family take this week to begin eating a little more plant-powered. Would it be introducing a new vegetable on their plate, a new fruit, or adding in more vegetables or some canned beans into their favorite home-cooked chili dish? Just pick one small action step to take for you and your family. Remember, friend, I'm here to help you reach the best health on a plant-based diet for you and your family. So if you want more support on your health and plant-based diet journey, reach out to me at healthnow@plantnourish.com or see the contact links in the show notes. Let's connect so we can look at your specific situation together. With the right guidance and support, I know that you and your family can thrive on a plant-powered lifestyle and reach the best health together. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please take a moment to rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or on iTunes. Knowing how this podcast has made a difference in your life never fails to light me up. I may also select your review to be read on the show. Remember that moving to plant-based eating can be simple and doable, even with your existing health challenges and busy lifestyle. If you have a plant-based diet question you'd like me to answer on this show, share that question with me using the contact options in the show notes. Thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to connect with you again in the next episode. Until next time, keep plant-focused and thriving, my friend.